Patrice Williams, thank you so much and welcome to the fireside chat this evening.
I am excited to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I am just going to get this, out in the opening because people come and go in our lives, Mrs. Williams, Gordon.
Call me Patrice.
All right, for the program, Patrice.
Yes,
and sometimes, by chance they come and we say by chance they go, and we would even repeat the scripture from Solomon that time and chance happen to every man. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they come for a season, they leave. And we think about them. And we know that they are either an alignment or an association. But sometimes we take them into our inner circle. And that inner circle has tremendous power. So the first question I want to ask you tonight, define for us exactly what is the inner circle. What do we consider as that inner circle?
Let me first say how excited I am to be here, because when I was growing up, fireside isn't fireside like in the United States of America. Fireside is usually an outside kitchen, and only the adults were allowed to go close to the fireside. And as kids, we would stand afar off and hope for the day when we're big enough to be in the big women company to be at the fireside. So that's how I feel this evening. I feel like I'm in big people company. And I am excited about sharing something that is very, very passionate to me. And that is friendship. As you said, friendships seem to come and go with the ebb and flow for so many people. And though some people may say, I'm not into friends and I'm not about friends and I don't keep friends, the bottom line is we were all created for relationships. At every level of our life, it is obvious that we were created for relationships. And friendships are the chosen relationships. And I say that without apologies. I think friendships are supposed to be deliberate actions of choice. Relationships of family, you're born into a family. And sometimes we get rejection there. In some families, there are some choices that affect the relationship, but whichever way you take it, you are born into this family. So friendship is a relationship of choice, which I think is absolutely, absolutely beautiful. And you have brought me right into the core, and that is intimate friendship. I think that's the highest point. That's the epitome, that's the climax of it all. When you find a relationship that is intense, that is dependable, that exudes trust and acceptance and support, when you can talk in the currency of loyalty, there's a deeper sense of connection, and there are very few topics that are off limits. You can be vulnerable. You continue to survive in the presence of friction and differences. And notice that I say you continue, because it is always going to be there and you will continue to thrive. The young people way, I don't even know if it's still the young people's way of saying it, but the popular way of referring to the intimate circle is my BFF, even though I think it's used very loosely. And but that is the concept that it conjures, that intimate closeness, that's almost second skin feeling that I get from a relationship is what I refer to as the intimate relationship or the inner circle.
That is such an excellent definition. So many things wrapped up in that definition. The intimate circle. And I'm taking that away, the intimate circle. But this intimate circle, how important is it to our advancement, our purpose, and ultimately to our destiny?
Absolutely, very, very, very important. If I take you back to creation, you will realize that God, I think, and I must get to heaven to prove myself right. I think God deliberately created man on his own first, gave him everything that he had, and allowed him to recognize that he was incomplete. He put man to sleep. Then he created woman, woke her up before man woke up, so that she could get a sense of being alone and understanding who she was in herself and in the presence of God. And then he woke up Adam, and Adam said, we're complete now. And even though that relationship is a marriage relationship, it's the first account of an intimate relationship, because they had to become friends as well. Yeah. And so an intimate relationship is important for understand who I am, because I am nobody without the context of everybody else. Who am I in isolation? I am nobody. I am nobody if I can't love. I'm nobody if I can't express. I'm nobody if I can't feel. I'm nobody if I can't get excited. And all of that happens. I'm nobody if I can't be appreciated. The core of who we are resides in our ability to interact with others. And so the intimate relationship, or the closest relationship, is self-defining. It allows me to get an understanding of who I am. It gives me self-awareness. The intimate circle, because remember I said in the intimate circle, there are a few topics that are off limits. I can be vulnerable. I can grow. The intimate circle suggests that someone will tell me about the self that I don't see. So it nurtures authenticity. There are things about me that I would not have recognized about myself because I'm too close to me. But an intimate friend will be able to tell me things about myself. And because of our relationship, I can take it from a positive, from the perspective of positive motives. And I can alter it if I choose to. I can discard it if I choose to. I can embrace it if I choose to. So the intimate circle is absolutely important for self-awareness and growing as an authentic being. And in so doing, it allows me to come into full focus of what God wants for my life. Hence, it reinforces those things that are meant to be, helps me to weed out those things that are not supposed to be there. I come into my fullness. I can see clearly my destiny. A lot of things that I am now appreciating about myself were first reflected to me by people in my inner circle. I probably saw it and or didn't see it, or I saw it and thought it was something negligible. Or sometimes the inner circle, if not chosen carefully, can erode your destiny. Because of envy, which grows into jealousy, because they're not the same. Someone can tell me things about myself that are not true. And because of how closely I hold them to me and how much I trust them, I believe it and I reject the very uniqueness that God has given to me. So it's absolutely important.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to pause here because if you just came into this room, we are talking with Mrs. Patrice Williams Gordon, and we're talking about associations and alignments, the power of the inner circle, and she has just dropped some gems here. I hope you have your notebook, your pens, whatever it is, because you need to leave with some of these, or if not all of what she's saying here. The inner circle, if not chosen carefully, can erode your destiny. That's Powerful indeed. Mrs. Williams, so now that you have carefully and articulately told us what the inner circle is, we also know that there's an other circle as well. Other circle. And in what way are these classified as inner circle, outer circle friends, or other circle friends? Talk to us about that other circle, because you pressed on the intimacy of the inner circle. Talk to us about that other circle.
Yes, yes. The whole idea of circles is nothing new. I was, however, endeared to the concept after reading Carrie Armstrong's book on the circle, a guide to mapping out your heart's true feelings. And she looks on looking on your feelings and what's on your values from the core out, you know, and drawing these circles to see, okay, what really matters and what am I paying attention to, and who is in my ear, and who has my attention, and who has my energy, who has my currency. But then when you look on, for example, the life of Jesus, the circles are obvious. You will recognize that Jesus had an inner circle, Peter, James, and John. And I want to think that in that inner circle, there was an inner circle. Then there were the other disciples. Then there was the rest of the 12 disciples. Then there was an even bigger group. And then there was the multitude. And so you can see concentric circles around Jesus in terms of the level of friendships in his life. And his interactions with them pretty much denotes their value and how important they were to him. Other persons have described and I have deliberately coined the phrase other circle. I don't want to say outer circle, because outer circle has a little dismissive feel, and I wouldn't want anybody who is a friend of mine to consider themselves in the outer circle. I would much prefer them considering themselves in the other circles. So the other circle includes, we're moving from the center, moving out, and therefore you will recognize that the intimacy is being, we're going away from intimate to less intimate and less intimate, yeah? Some descriptions of this have been coined by other people. You've heard about friends for seasons, friends for reasons, and friends for life. And that's going towards the center, eh? Seasons, reasons, and life. Then there's the other classification: intimate, close, casual, acquaintance, going from the middle out. So we're getting less intimate as we go out, right? And then there is another one I came across: essential, collaborators, associates, mentor, mentee, looking on the roles. But this is mine. How they do? And somebody may be wondering, what do I mean by how they do? Well, you have those friends who are the how they do friends. Then you have those who are the howdy friends. Then you have those who are the how friends. And then you have those who are nothing, quiet. And interestingly, going from how they do to quiet is going in the direction of greater intimacy. The ones who don't have to say a word, and yet they understand you and you feel understood, you feel valued. They can nurture you by just looking at you, or not even looking at you, just being there. That's the intimate friend. The how friend is in that other circle, which, using the other designations, you may call them the associate, or the let me back up. The howdy-do, let me start at the howdy-do. The howdy-do, which is at the way end, would be those people who are referred to as maybe acquaintances or mentee mentors. Those are the howdy-do friends. You have to say quite a bit. You have to do quite a bit. You have to be quite a bit in order to feel understood and relevant. The howdy friends are a little closer. Those are your associates, your casual friends, those who have a single purpose. There is low emotional investment. So your howdy friend would be like the person who is in the same Toastmasters club with you, the person who you meet at the gym, the person who you meet at the bus stop every morning, or the person who is at the childcare where you drop off your kids for childcare, and you know, there is a single purpose for your relationship, and that may be just the fact that we work out together. It's a good friend now. They serve a purpose, but there is low emotional investment. If that person, we don't feel the indebtedness to go into details of who we are, we may share some of our personal information with them. Hello? I thought I heard something just now, no? Okay, yes. So we may feel, so that person, there is less investment. There is one kind of thing, a singular purpose that this person has in your life. It may be the guy who cuts your lawn, and that is a relationship. You have a good friendship with him. It's not just a worker who passes by. You have a relationship with this person and you consider them a friend, but they have a single purpose or a very narrow lane of purpose in your life. And so it's a howdy-do friend, yeah? That's a howdy friend. Then you have the how. That's a little closer in. We're coming home now. Those are your collaborators. They have a current purpose in your life. There is an attraction. There is some amount of emotional investment. Some people may refer to them as the friends for a season. You're bona fide, but you're not born, if you know what I mean. You share a lot. You have a lot in common. You reflect each other. There is a depth to your relationship, but it doesn't get to the point of essential. It doesn't get to the point of intimate. It doesn't get to the point of life. Those are your how friends. You can sound off, you can get advice, you can depend on their advice, you can depend on them being around. But then you get to the intimate now, and that is when you don't have to say anything at all. So that's how I classify the other circles. Very important, but it's vital for us to understand the differences and how it works for you.
Wow, that was indeed, indeed, so much potency in all of that. I mean, you could split it apart and take just two of those outer circles, and it's not outer, it's other circles.
Other circles, yes.
Other circles, and you just use it and create the rest of the session. But we have so much more to talk about, because we're talking about associations and alignments, the power of the inner circle. And so I'm going to move on. I'm going to step back a little bit from the circles, and I'm going to go to the spiritual and the natural aspects of these circles. Are these circles natural, or can we look at them as spiritual? Because you went so in depth with the seasons and the reasons and the lifetime and all of those. And you even went to Jesus and talk about his circles. So are we to believe that these are not just natural everyday circles?
It depends on what you mean when you say natural. If by natural you mean automatic and self-supporting, it's not natural. And some of our friendships are more so than others. By that I mean, I don't think that friendships just happen. Or let me rephrase that. I don't think effective friendships happen. And because the mantra of my life is deliberate living, I think for an effective life, for a productive life, for a successful life, we've got to be intentional and deliberate in everything we do, including friendships. Friendships that happen by happenstance, friendships that just evolve, friendships that just present themselves and are left to exist that way because it's natural. To be on autopilot, it's not going to last. It's not going to last. Because my worldview is that of being a Christian, I believe that everyone who is in my life has first been positioned by God. Then he gives me the power of choice. I choose whether I pull this person in or not. And I assign them to where in my life they're going to be. So some people may say you're making it complicated because I just go to school and I just naturally became friends with this person. Let me tell you, there's a science to it. There's a science to it. There is something that you are emitting. And you may think it's natural, but it's not natural. It is the result of your choices. So because I choose to be the kind of person I am, because I choose to be friendly, because I choose to be honest, because I choose to be dependable, I will attract a certain kind of person in my space. Because of the choices I make, I will maintain a certain kind of person in my space. Because somebody may be attracted into my space, but they just can't stay. Not even as an acquaintance. Not even at the furthest end. They're just going to emit, they're just not going to be within my sphere. And that is because there are forces at work. And natural to me denotes automatic. It denotes freedom of choice. It denotes lack of intentionality. And I want to think that the person who is successful and who is deliberate about their friendship must understand that this thing didn't just happen. And the thing, Dr. Janice, that evolves from that is that when I have that position in my mind, then I value you more, you know. I value you more because I realize that there's a spiritual overarching that put you in my life in the first place. It just didn't happen there. Not because we come from the same district or because we like Guinea. That's why we were friends. I have to understand that God made me the way I am. He gave me certain propensities, certain affinities, and he knew at the time that there were going to be others because To the extent that I have friends, I have others in my life who are not my friends. And they're not my friends because there is not that connection of sorts, which again comes from the choices I make. You can look, for example, students, you look on children in a classroom. And if you look back to your childhood, you'll recognize that, hey, there were certain people who you can identify all the circles. Or I should ask your audience, can you identify all the circles in your growing up days in school? That best friend, then the other person who you did assignments with, then the other person who was just there because of sports day you wanted to hang out with that person. And then the other person who was just a schoolmate. There you have it. But when you look at it, it didn't just happen. It was things about you that created paths that allowed this to happen. And when I don't take it for granted, when I move away from thinking it just happened, then I will value you and I will create a sense of gratitude to you, to God, and to me. Because, hey, if I wasn't a nice person, I don't think I would attract nice people.
Wow, and wow is all I'm going to say right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we are actually around the fireside, and we're talking with Mrs. Patrice Williams Gordon, the associations and the alignments. And I don't know if you're taking notes, but I am. And in this room, we'll use the chat a lot. So go ahead and put your comments, your questions, whatever you have, because at the last 15 minutes or so, we are going to be opening the floor because this conversation needs more drilling down. And so go ahead and make notes of your questions, your comments, and everything that you have, because we are going to be taking them at the end of this conversation. Mrs. Williams, there was so much packed up in that one again, but I'm going to have to go on because I want to know what are the most critical things to look for when getting these people into your circle, whether it's the alignments or the associations. What are some of the things we need to really look out for?
Okay, so let's create a hypothetical situation. No, let me not say hypothetical. Let me create the scenario of what I want everyone to do after this evening. Because it would be a waste of time if we just talking and listening. And this is something that I have done and I continue to do.